Output statements display information on some kind of output device. Output devices can include external files and also the computer screen. Depending on the system, one of these will be what's called the default output device, and usually that's going to be the computer screen. Output should be as descriptive as possible. So in other words, instead of just dumping a number 12.4 on the screen, you should say something like the radius is 12.4, or even better, use units for that. There are different types of things that you can print out. So generally you can print the values of expressions. You can also print characters and strings of characters, so words in other words. And the output can also be formatted, which is how you say how you want the output to be printed. When you write output to a file, this is called file output. Sometimes you use the same statement or function as writing to the screen, and sometimes it's different. Alright, so formatting. One thing you can do to format is you can specify what is called the field width. The field width means the total number of characters that you're going to be using to print something out. So for example, let's say we want to specify that we want to print the integer 33 in a field width of 5. So that means we're going to print 5 characters altogether. I'm going to use a little dash as a way of representing blank spaces. So if the integer is to be right justified, it'll print with 3 leading blanks. So in other words, if it's right justified, right up here, we have 5 characters altogether, and we're printing the number on the right part of that, 33. So we have 1, 2, 3 leading blanks before that to get our field width of 5 altogether. If, on the other hand, the number is left justified, then we start with the number, and then we have 3 trailing blanks after that. So either we have leading blanks before the number or trailing blanks after the number. So if you specify a field width and right justified, that's a nice way of printing a column of numbers. So here again, right justifying, we get each of the numbers printed out in a column format. So the field width can be used for numbers, but it can also be used for characters. So for example, if I say I want to print the exclamation point in a field width of 5, then I would have 4 leading blanks before the exclamation point. The character that you use to print before or after, in this case it's been the blank space, that's called the fill character. So usually the fill character is the blank space. When printing real numbers, it's often desired to specify how many decimal places you're going to print, in addition to the field width. So for example, if I say I want to print the number 123.4, so that's the number I want to print, in a field width of 9 with 3 decimal places, that means field width of 9 is going to be 9 characters altogether, including the decimal point and including the 3 decimal places. So altogether, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things that we're printing out. So leading blanks, space, 1, 2, 3, point or dot, 4, 0, 0. So usually trailing zeros are printed as necessary to fill it up. Notice that it's important that the decimal point does count as one of the 9 characters. Frequently what you want to do is you want to print values of variables or expressions embedded inside of strings. For example, we may want to print the value of a person's age in some kind of a sentence format that says you are, and then the actual age, years old. To do that, what you do is create a format string that includes the words that you want to have in a sentence and a placeholder that says, well, when I print this out, the actual value of my age variable is going to print in that location. There are some special characters that can be printed. For example, in many systems, you can use the \T, that prints a tab character, so that tabs over a certain number of spaces. The new line character is \N. Now what the new line character does is when that gets printed, it moves the cursor down to the next line. So whatever is printed next goes on the next line in the output and not on the same line. There are others as well, depending on the system. There are other special characters to actually print the \, to print quotation marks, and so forth. So here's an example of using the new line character. So if we say, for example, we want to print 11.11 and then 23.5 without a new line, then it would all print on the same line. So we'd get the 11.11 and then the 23.5. On the other hand, if we said, well, I want to print 11.11 and then the new line and then 23.5, then it would print the 11.11. Printing the new line would move the cursor down to the next line, and that's where we would print the 23.5. So again, when you print the new line character, what it does is it moves the cursor down to the next line, so the next thing that you print will be on the next line.